So here's the other side of this. I don't know why. I don't get the impression the Browns are truly upset that this is how this has all gone down.
What do you mean?
Well, first off, this has given them life at the end of the season and interest in the end of the season in a season where they weren't supposed to have interest. So that's like a green check mark to begin with anyway. But like Jimmy Haslam loves attention. He loves the idea that people talk about this team. Like he's given them all that. Like this is gone. If you're Jimmy Haslam, I would have to imagine this has gone about as well as you could have possibly imagined.
With the whole 3 wins and everything?
Not that perspective. Obviously, he's mad about that. No, I mean the idea that you took a 5th-round quarterback.
So here's the other side of this. I don't know why. I don't get the impression the Browns are truly upset that this is how this has all gone down. You know what I mean? Well, first off, this has given him life at the end of the season, an interest in the end of the season in a season where they weren't supposed to have interest. So that's like a green check mark to begin with anyway. But like Jimmy Ham loves attention. He loves the idea that people talk about this team like he's given him all that. Like, this is gone. If you're Jimmy Haslam, I would have to imagine this has gone about as well as you could have possibly imagined, because the whole 3 wins and everything, not that perspective. Obviously, he's mad about that. No, but I mean, the idea that you took a 5th-round quarterback. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Did you hear that? Did you catch what they just said? Let me play that back for you one more time in your head. An insider just admitted on record that the Cleveland Browns aren't actually upset about how this season has gone. A 4-win team. One of the worst records in the NFL. A franchise that's been a punchline for months. And the people inside that building, they're not mad. They're satisfied. Let that satisfaction marinate for a second. Now ask yourself why. Why would any organization be okay with losing? Why would any owner look at a dumpster fire season and shrug his shoulders like everything went according to plan? I'll tell you why. Because for Jimmy Haslam, this was never about winning football games. This was about business, brand equity, manipulation, and the man at the center of it all? Shedeur Sanders. Let's be real about who we're talking about here. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a rookie quarterback. He's not just a 5th-round pick trying to find his footing in the league. This man is the 7th most Googled athlete on the planet, the son of Deion Sanders. The most polarizing, most discussed, most debated quarterback to enter the NFL in years. No 5th-round pick in the history of this league has ever, and I mean ever, generated this kind of attention. Not even close. And Jimmy Haslam knows it. He knew it the moment Cleveland's name got called on draft night. See, most owners look at a quarterback and ask, can he win us games? Jimmy Haslam looked at Shedeur Sanders and asked, how much money can he make me? That's the difference. That's the game being played behind closed doors. While fans were begging to see Shedeur on the field, while the media was debating whether he should start, Jimmy Haslam was running calculations, jersey sales, ticket demand, national media coverage, social media impressions. He wasn't building a football team, he was building a brand. And Shedeur was the product. Now I know what some of you are thinking. That's a bold accusation. You're reaching. But I'm not speculating here. What I'm about to show you is pattern recognition. It's connecting dots that the Browns organization didn't think anyone would connect. The jersey sales that don't add up. The ticket prices that collapsed. The suspicious timing of Shedeur's benching. It all fits together like a puzzle, and once you see the full picture, you'll never look at this franchise the same way again. This isn't about hating Jimmy Haslam. This is about exposing the truth. A billionaire owner has been treating the most marketable player in the NFL like a chess piece, moving him around the board not to win the game, but to protect his profits. And Shedeur Sanders deserves better than that. The fans deserve better than that. So strap in, because once you see the evidence, you can't unsee it. Now let's talk about the lie that started it all. The $250 million jersey sales story. You remember that, right? It was everywhere this summer. Every sports talk show, every podcast, every Twitter thread. Shedeur Sanders sold $250 million worth of jerseys before he even took a snap in the NFL. That was the headline. That was the narrative. Browns fans were running victory laps in the comments saying, see, This man is already a superstar. He's already printing money for this franchise. And honestly, at the time, I believed it too. We all did. But here's the thing, nobody stopped to ask. If Shedeur Sanders really sold $250 million worth of jerseys, where did they all go? Think about that for a second. We're talking about $250 million in merchandise. That's an insane number. That kind of demand should have wiped out inventory multiple times over. Basic economics, right? Supply and demand. If people are buying that much product, at some point the shelves go empty. You'd see a sold out banner on the website. You'd see a wait list. You'd see restocking delays. Something. But that never happened. Not once. I went on the Browns website during the summer. Shedeur's jersey was available. Every size, every color, no problem. I checked again in September. Still there. October. Still there. November. Still there. You're telling me this man moved $250 million in sales and his jersey was never not one single time unavailable? That doesn't add up. That math doesn't math. And then Christmas came. The Browns launched what they called a legendary sale. 60% off everything. The biggest discount of the year. Fans flooded the website ready to buy. And guess what happened? Suddenly, conveniently suspiciously, Shedeur Sanders jerseys were nowhere to be found. Gone. Unavailable. Sold out. The one-time fans actually rushed to purchase. His jersey wasn't there. Now, why would that be? Why would the most popular jersey on the roster vanish during the biggest sale of the season? I'll tell you why. Because Shedeur Sanders gets a cut of his own jersey sales. That's how it works in the NFL. Players earn a percentage of their merchandise. But if you buy a generic Browns hoodie, a Myles Garrett jersey, a team hat, Shedeur doesn't see a dime of that money. The organization keeps it all. So what did Jimmy Haslam do? He pulled Shedeur's jerseys off the site during the sale and forced fans to buy other merchandise instead. Merchandise that doesn't pay the quarterback. Merchandise that goes straight into the owner's pocket. That's not speculation. That's not conspiracy theory. That's manipulation in plain sight. And the evidence is sitting right there on their own website. But it gets worse. Because the jersey scam wasn't the only game Jimmy Haslam was playing. $6. $6. That's what it costs to walk into an NFL stadium and watch the Cleveland Browns play football. Not 60, not 100. $6. You can't even get a decent meal for $6 anymore. But you could buy a ticket to a Browns game. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how badly Jimmy Haslam miscalculated, I don't know what will. See, here's the game Haslam thought he was playing. He understands supply and demand better than most people in this league. He's a billionaire. He knows how markets work. And his strategy with Shedeur Sanders was textbook manipulation. You create massive demand, which Shedeur already had just by existing. Then you restrict the supply. You hold him back. You keep him on the bench. You make fans desperate to see him play. Week after week, the anticipation builds. The hunger grows. And then when you finally unleash him, the demand explodes. Ticket sales go through the roof. Jersey revenue skyrockets. The whole city loses their minds. That was the plan. But Jimmy Haslam forgot one crucial thing. Fans aren't stocks. You can't just manipulate them forever and expect them to keep buying in. There's a breaking point. And the Browns found it. Week after week, Kevin Stefanski trotted out Joe Flacco, then Jameis Winston, then Dorian Thompson-Robinson, anyone but Shedeur, and fans watched, they waited, they held on to hope. But eventually, that hope turned into frustration, and frustration turned into apathy. The anticipation didn't build, it died. People stopped caring. They stopped showing up. They stopped buying tickets. And that's when those $6 seats started appearing. Think about that. An NFL franchise in a football-obsessed city like Cleveland couldn't give tickets away. They had to slash prices to almost nothing just to get bodies in the building. That's not a marketing strategy. That's a white flag. That's an admission that the hype machine broke down, that the manipulation went too far, that Jimmy Haslam got greedy and held Shedeur back so long that fans simply gave up waiting. You want to control the market? Fine. But you can't take from fans forever without giving something back. They're emotional investors. They show up because they believe, because they hope. And when you keep dangling that hope in front of them without ever delivering, they walk away. That's exactly what happened in Cleveland. The $6 tickets weren't just embarrassing. They were proof that Jimmy Haslam's master plan backfired spectacularly. He thought he could build anticipation indefinitely. Instead, he killed it. He thought he could manufacture demand. Instead, he destroyed it. And now he's sitting in a half-empty stadium wondering where it all went wrong. But the manipulation didn't stop at tickets and jerseys. It went all the way to the coaching staff. And that's where things get really interesting. Let's talk about Kevin Stefanski. Because this whole manipulation story doesn't work without understanding the man who's been calling the shots on the field. 6 years. Kevin Stefanski has been the head coach of the Cleveland Browns for 6 years. 2 Coach of the Year awards. Sounds impressive, right? Sounds like a guy who knows what he's doing. But let's look a little closer at those trophies, because the shine starts to fade real quick. That first Coach of the Year award came in 2020. Remember 2020. No fans in the stands. Asterisk expectations across the entire league. A season where nobody really knew what was happening. And the second one? That came when Joe Flacco, not Kevin Stefanski, carried the Browns to the playoffs. Joe Flacco played out of his mind down the stretch, and somehow Stefanski got the credit. Those weren't indicators of elite coaching. Those were situational awards. Right place, right time, right narrative. Now look at where we are. The players aren't responding anymore. The penalties are constant. Every single game, it's the same story: false starts, holding calls, undisciplined football right out of the gate. The special teams have been a disaster. Long kickoff returns, missed assignments, and the defense? A group loaded with elite talent has completely regressed. That's not a player problem. That's a coaching problem. That's a culture problem. And after 6 years, if you still can't fix it, maybe you are the problem. Insiders are starting to say what fans have been thinking for months. It might be time for a clean break. Not necessarily a firing in the traditional sense, but an acknowledgement that the voice has gone stale. The message isn't landing anymore. There's no spark left. How do you motivate a locker room that's heard the same speeches for 6 straight years? You can't. And Kevin Stefanski is running out of time to prove otherwise. Now here's where it gets interesting. Remember when people laughed at the idea of bringing in Bill Belichick? I mentioned it, others mentioned it, and everybody clowned us. But guess what? Nobody's laughing anymore. Belichick has history with Cleveland. He was a defensive coordinator there before becoming the greatest coach of all time. He's looking for a new opportunity, and if Stefanski is shown the door, suddenly that Belichick conversation becomes very, very real. But here's what matters most. If Kevin Stefanski goes, it sends a message. It means the Browns are finally done playing games. No more manipulation. No more holding Shedeur back. No more treating the quarterback position like a business strategy instead of a football decision. A coaching change would signal that this organization is ready to commit, ready to build around Shedeur Sanders for real, not just profit off his name while wasting his potential. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. What does Jimmy Haslam actually need from Shedeur Sanders? And does he even realize how much power Shedeur holds in this situation? This isn't about football anymore. It never was. Jimmy Haslam isn't thinking about next season. He's not even thinking about the next 5 seasons. He's thinking about the next 50 years. The dynasty. The empire. The generational wealth he wants to leave behind for his family. And every single move he's made this season has been about one thing. That stadium. Let me make this crystal clear. The new stadium Jimmy Haslam is pushing for isn't about Cleveland. It's not about the fans. It's not about creating a better game day experience. It's about building an asset worth billions. An asset that will generate revenue for the Haslam family long after Jimmy is gone. Concert revenue, event revenue, real estate development. That stadium isn't just a building, it's an empire, and empires need kings to make them relevant. Enter Shedeur Sanders, the 7th most Googled athlete on the planet, the son of primetime, the most marketable quarterback to enter this league since Patrick Mahomes. Shedeur isn't just a player to Jimmy Haslam, he's the cornerstone of the empire. He's the reason people will care about that stadium. He's the reason national media will cover the Browns. He's the reason jersey sales explode and ticket demand exists even when the team is losing. Shedeur Sanders brings attention, revenue, and cultural relevance that no other player in the NFL can match. Not even close. But here's what Jimmy Haslam hasn't figured out yet. And this is the part that should keep him up at night. Shedeur Sanders doesn't need the Cleveland Browns. The Browns need Shedeur. Read that again. Let it sink in. Because it's the truth that changes everything. Shedeur already has the platform. He already has the following. He already has the pedigree. This man could walk into any locker room in the league tomorrow and instantly become the face of that franchise. He doesn't need Cleveland to validate him. Cleveland needs him to stay relevant. And if Jimmy Haslam keeps playing these games, the jersey manipulation, the artificial benching, treating him like a marketing tool instead of a franchise quarterback, Shedeur has options. He has leverage. And more importantly, he has a father who will absolutely burn it all down if his son isn't treated right. You think Deion Sanders is going to sit back and watch his son get used as a business pawn? You think Prime is going to let Jimmy Haslam profit off Shedeur's name while sabotaging his career? Think again. One phone call, one press conference, one viral social media post from Deion, and this whole situation explodes. The manipulation gets exposed on a national level. The fan base turns. And suddenly, Jimmy Haslam goes from billionaire businessman to the villain who fumbled a generational talent. The evidence is out there. The manipulation is exposed. The games have been revealed. And now Jimmy Haslam has a choice. Stop playing chess with people's careers and start building a championship team around Shedeur Sanders. Or keep fumbling the most valuable asset he's ever had. The ball is in your court, Jimmy. We're watching, we're waiting, and we're riding with 12